Good morning, everyone. This is Leah Dixon in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am coming to you live this morning for my regular Tuesday morning Facebook Live. And I'm super excited to be sharing with you a card today made using the Ornamental Envelopes bundle. So I'm just going to switch. Actually, I'm going to leave a comment here first so that when you guys leave any comments, I can see them. And then I'm just going to switch my camera over to my desktop view.
There we go. So I can show you the product that we are using today. So what we have here is the Ornamental Envelopes stamp set, and so it comes with some really beautiful pieces to create like drop-down ornaments. These ones can go together to create wreaths, and then we've got some extra little embellishments like flowers and little corner pieces and stuff. So really beautiful stamp set on its own, and a great one for journaling as well in a scrapbook because it has these awesome dotted lines, so you can actually create like little lined spots to do some journaling. And then the dies that come with it are amazing. We can cut out all those little ornaments and little flower embellishments, but then we also have some beautiful pieces here to add some interest either to our actual envelope or to our card itself, and to create little envelope flaps and scalloped edges on our envelopes, and some really awesome little pieces there. So really fun die set. Awesome stamp set. And then because it has no sentiments with it, I'm just throwing in the Itty Bitty Christmas for our sentiment today. Hi, Jacqueline. Oh, it created a huge echo. Oh, okay. I know how to fix that now.
There we go. How is that, Jacqueline? I think that should have fixed it. Thank you for letting me know. I always forget that piece about turning off the other camera. All right. Hopefully that fixed it. All right. So now I've got this Itty Bitty Christmas as well for my sentiment. So I'm just going to be using Thinking of You at Christmas from the Itty Bitty Christmas set. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and hopefully I'll get some feedback that the feedback is gone, that my second mic is off and we're all good. I'll just give it a second. I've realized I have about a 30-second delay between what I'm doing and what you guys are seeing. So it's a little bit frustrating. Just give me a thumbs up maybe if what you're hearing no longer has the echo. If it still has the echo, then I'm going to shut down entirely and come back on and start over, because I may have needed to turn that second mic off before I got started. Oh, and volume. Okay. How about now? All these fun little tech issues. Hopefully that fixed that. Glad to hear there's no echo. And did we get volume now? Hopefully. Oh, it's good now. Excellent. Okay. Fabulous. All right, and then apparently I'm getting some messages as well. Good timing. All right, so just in case you missed that because my volume was off and my echo and everything, I'll just tell you. So this is the Ornamental Envelopes stamp set. Some awesome pieces for wreaths and lines for journaling, the fabulous dies. And then we've got our Itty Bitty Christmas, and I'm going to be using the Thinking of You sentiment. So those are all of our bits for today. And today's card, I actually have some really awesome tips and tricks for you. So the first step in today's card is we're actually going to be creating a wreath. And I have a big cheat on that. I have my stitched shape dies, and I'm going to take the largest circle die from my stitched shapes, and I'm going to put it down on my piece of cardstock. So what I have here is a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square piece of Whisper White. And with that die down upside down, I'm actually going to come in here and trace a little circle in pencil so that I can erase it later. So we're not actually using our dies to cut today. Well, we will, but for now, we're not using our dies to cut. We're using that largest stitched shape circle, say that slowly, to just create a template for us. Because with these wreath pieces, we want to line them up exactly right so that we can actually get the wreath look and not have it be kind of a weird or different, like different shape and stuff like that. So we actually want it to be a circle. All right. And I'm just going to come over here. I feel like, okay, there we go. It is following. Good. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the branches piece. So those are just like little twigs basically. And I'm using early espresso. And when I stamp this, I'm going to come in and stamp right on that line that I drew. Okay. Yeah, dies as stencils are the best, Jacqueline. All right, so with that one right on the line, I'm going to come in and do another one and just do kind of like end to end. And here we go. And so the fact that it's got a little bit of a curve in is going to be fine because we're actually going to be adding berries and flowers and ribbons and all sorts of things to our wreath. But basically what we've got here now is we actually created a circle shape. Oh, good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, Val. So yeah, we've actually created a circle shape. I find that if I don't use a circle base when I'm trying to create a wreath, I end up with these really odd not circle things. It's really not pretty. All right, so I'm going to actually let that dry before we do the next step because I want to go in there with an eraser and erase those lines, but I want to make sure my ink is truly, truly dry before I do that so it doesn't smudge. So I'm going to bring in our card base and we'll start working on that while we wait. So here I have a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock and it was cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and then scored at 4 1/4. And I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 early espresso. And then I have 2 little pieces here. These are 3 3/4 by 1 inch, and this is from the Heartwarming Hugs DSP. And so we're actually going to glue these 2 little pieces onto our cardstock at the top and the bottom of our early espresso. So I like to use liquid glue because it allows me to wiggle. I can't always, get things lined up straight when I'm trying to put them down. So having this allows me to move them around slightly after I've put them down. All right, so what we're going to do is paste one down so that we've got an equal border on the 3 sides. And then we're going to flip this around and paste the other one down. So this is kind of like, well, I have way too much DSP, so I don't really need to save it, but this is a DSP saving technique if you're trying to make a pack of DSP go further. It's going to look like we have a full border or background of this, and in fact we just have the 2 ends. All right, so those are 2 1-inch strips that are going to go on there. And then actually this whole piece, I know I love liquid glue, Jacqueline, I could never go without it. This whole piece is going to get adhered to our card front, and it's the last bit of gluing, so I'm gonna, well, for a little while, so I'm gonna really make sure I get all the glue off my tip before I put my lid on. And we're gonna put this on, and love backgrounds like this. There's no right or wrong way, they're both the same. There we go, and then just do a little like that. All right, so with that put together, this should be dry enough to come in here. I'm still not going to go in super strong with my eraser. I'm going to rub lightly so that I don't smudge any ink if it's not completely dry. I also was really light with my pencil when I put my pencil markings down, so there's not a ton to do. And I'm just going to come in and remove all those pencil lines. Okay. So now we have our wreath base. I'm going to grab some cherry cobbler. I know, Cynthia, it really is the most economical adhesive we have because it does last forever. All right, so now I've got this one that's just like all these little dots and everything. and I'm going to ink that up in my cherry cobbler. And now there is a trick to getting this lined up-ish, and it's to line up the last set of dots with the last branch and the first set of dots with the first branch. And if you do that, everything else should just kind of fall into place. And really, it's berries, so it's not like they grow perfectly anyways, but I do find that, yeah, if you kind of think about that first set of dots and the last set of dots, everything else. Now, seeing it and not getting my head into the camera shot, that's the real trick right now. All right, there we go. And one more. All right, so not too bad. And it does have these three little ones that end up on the inside. And unfortunately for us, those ones are going to get covered, but they're kind of cute otherwise if you're just creating a wreath. I love that this wreath also creates itself in sets of 3 instead of 4 around. I don't know why, that just really appeals to me. So before we put away our cherry cobbler, I'm going to grab the 3 little flowers as well, and I'm going to stamp them twice. And actually, you know what, I'm going to stamp them 3 times. I lied. I'm going to stamp them once on a piece of scrap Whisper White. I'm going to stamp them once on the inside of our card, and I'm going to go grab an envelope and I'm going to stamp them on my envelope as well. And you're going to see me do it twice because I already created a sample for this card and I didn't stamp my envelope. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, so there we go. So envelope done, inside of the card done, and a set to cut out. I know 3 does balance just so nicely. So I think why I like this little flower set as well, because it's the 3. So we're done with our cherry cobbler ink now. And set that to the side. Okay, now we're going to get out our embossing. We're going to do a little bit of heat embossing on this card before we continue. And the reason I'm heat embossing is because I'm actually going, oh no, I just lost video. Serious? Oh, there we go. Wow, I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Okay, so I'm going to be doing heat embossing because we're going to be stamping onto a piece of wood grain DSP. So this is from the In Good Taste. Uh-oh. I don't know if my video's going or not now. I think that somebody upstairs just started on the internet and it's stealing from me and I'm not getting a good feed anymore. Darn it. I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. Not to do that during my videos. Oh, I'm back. Good. Thank you. All right. So I was just saying that I'm going to be doing some heat embossing because I'm going to be putting my sentiment here onto a piece of wood grain DSP. So I've grabbed my Versamark and I'm going to stamp my image right onto my DSP. Can't even see it. Gonna have to trust that it's there. And then I'm going to grab my white embossing pattern. So I keep all of my embossing stuff on one big messy tray with lots of scrap papers and stuff. And I'm just going to liberally put some white embossing powder on here. Tap off as much of it as I can back into my jar. Oh no. Darn it. See, my kids have just switched their schedules and they're now home in the mornings until 11:30. And so I might actually end up having to move my video times because I find when they're on and doing their school thing, it really messes up my internet and my ability to do these videos. So I'm going to have to play around with this and I might end up moving my video times till the afternoon when the teenagers are in school. All right. So next thing that we're going to do, hopefully you guys are still with me. Sorry, guys. Next thing we're going to do is grab our heat tool and I'm going to heat this up. So with that done, we are going to get our cut and emboss machine, and I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to bring this in. So I've got all my layers here, and I'm going to do 2 cuts at once. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to get the little flower die. Oh, things are flying. Little flower die out of there, and I'm going to cut those, and then I'm going to cut our sentiment at the same time, and I'm going to use the second smallest, so third, there's 4 of them, and it's the third one in. I'm going to use that one to cut that out. All right, let's actually line these up. That would be a good idea. Okay, so line up our flower dies. That's the trickiest part. And let's run this through. Oh, Val. Oh, no, and I just knocked over my light. My goodness. All right, let's put some light back on the situation. There we go. All right, Val, well, you have a great morning, and I hope you can watch later. It's a really cute card. All right, so here we go. We've got that. Oh, I've got little blue chunks from something else. I was cutting out blue trees earlier today. All right, and then we've got those beautiful flowers, and the die is pretty forgiving. Even though mine wasn't perfectly lined up, it didn't like cut off any parts of the flower, so that's really nice. All right, so we'll put those pieces off to the side, and we'll bring our card back in. Oh, I know, but you know what, Val? Even though it's not Friday the 13th, it has felt like it was a full moon, and it has just been insane. School's been crazy. I don't know. Something's going on. My mom will blame all the technology stuff on Mercury retrograde. She always lets me know when it's happening, and it is currently happening. I have to say I think I'm a believer. So here we go. I'm going to glue this sentiment down. We're not doing a ton of layers today because we're going to be putting some ribbon and gems and stuff that are going to pop this up. So I just want to make sure that that really gets down nice and flat. And so we have those little ones peeking out. It's kind of cute. All right, now I think I'm done with that because I'm going to use some stronger adhesive for the rest of this. So next up is I'm going to tie a ribbon around this. And, all right, so I am going to get, what is this? Braided linen trim. I just love it. And I'm going to kind of come in here, get enough of it that I can wrap around and still tie a bow. There we go. All right. Now, lots of you would be like, okay, but it's a wreath. Why don't you just tie a bow and glue it at the bottom? And you know what? Honestly, I really can't stand that because I'm always worried that if I'm just gluing a bow on with a mini glue dot, that it's going to fall off in the mail or something. So what I did there is I just wrapped my ribbon around once. I didn't tie a knot though because I find it gets too bulky. And then I tie that around. And I do my bunny ears, and now is where you just kind of have to tell your ribbon what you want it to do. So you just start kind of forcing it to go where you want. I might actually even restart that so I get a bit of a tighter thing. Oh, I know. You know what, Jacqueline? That moon, that sliver in the sky is so beautiful. We went for a night walk over at the lagoons last night, and I got some gorgeous, gorgeous photos. Just as the last of the sun was setting, the sky along the horizon was orange, and the moon was just the brightest sliver in the sky. So, so pretty. Of course, photos never quite capture the true beauty of it. All right, so there we go. I've kind of told that ribbon what to do. And the braided linen trim is actually quite nice. You can kind of yank it into place and push it where you want it to go, and it listens. So just show it who's boss. Okay, there we go. So I've trimmed that up. So I've done this because I really don't like the idea that my bow could fall off. But what I am going to do now is I am going to use a glue dot if I can find them. There we go. I do have a whole box beside me, but I really do prefer these paper pumpkin ones. And so then what I do is I do put a glue dot when it's all said and done, just to hold the bow exactly where I want it. But I don't trust them to hold a bow on in the mail. Yeah, a little bit of tombow. Yeah, that might help. All right, so there we go. I just tied mine around, and I actually quite like it with the full tie around. All right, now I'm going to use some glue dots on these little flowers, and what I'm going to use these little flowers for actually is to cover up where I got a little bit of smudgy stamping happening and where the two pieces connected, and then I'm going to do it up here as well where my other two pieces connected. So you can see I kind of, where my stamping connected and wasn't perfect, covered it up with a bow, covering it up with some flowers, and we're going to be all good. Nobody will be able to see kind of my little oopsie spots. So here we go. Do one kind of up and off of the wreath. This is called a wreath, yeah. And one a little bit down and lower. And now I'm not going to overlap these really, just a tiny, tiny bit, because I'm going to be adding some rhinestones to them. I'm going to be using the holiday rhinestones. So cover that one up. There we go. And then, yeah, so I've got my holiday rhinestones. I have really been loving these. They come in some beautiful colors. When I first got my first pack, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll use these, and now I'm like on my fourth pack. So I think I will use them. And I've even been using a ton of the orange ones because they're so nice on Halloween cards and autumn cards. So there and there. So I'm using the red on red. I don't think this is actually cherry cobbler red in this pack, but I don't know. It sure looks good together. So there we go. I've got that done. And now we just have to put this onto our card front. So I am going to use much stronger adhesive. Here I would use Tear and Tape, or I'm going to use Seal Plus because I've got that ribbon, I've got some weight on here, and I just really want to make sure it sticks. Plus I love that with the Seal Plus, I can get right into the corners so I don't have floppy corners. Cannot stand floppy corners. All right, and now this was cut exactly the same width as our DSP. So we want to line it up with our DSP and line it up top to bottom so that it looks good. All right, and voila. That is our finished card with our fancy little envelope. So thank you guys so much for bearing with me with all of my tech difficulties. But there is our fancy little ornamental envelopes card, all complete. And if you're interested in taking a class and doing more kind of fun and unique things with this stamp set, I actually have, I'm just going to transition over. Hi guys. So I actually have an ornamental envelopes card class coming up in November 8th, I believe it is. You'd have to double check my event listing to know that for sure. I kind of take days one by one. But I do know that the deadline to RSVP for that one is October 27th, so that I can get all of the materials ordered, well, not ordered, but cut and sent out to people for that class. So October 27th is the deadline to sign up for my ornamental envelopes class. And hopefully I'll see some of you there. Anybody within Canada can sign up for it because it is going to be an online class through Zoom. And then I send out the PDF and everything. So if you can't make it to the class, you can still make your cards with the bits you get and all that. So you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm going to keep working on these tech issues to hopefully eliminate them and have some nice smooth videos coming up. All right, bye guys.